Hey there, I'm back with some more Vagrus, for real this time. In case you haven't seen my previous videos, Vagrus is a post-apocalyptic open-world RPG where you are in charge of a trading caravan. I did play the tutorial, which is its own separate self-contained story. I haven't quite finished with that one yet, but the tutorial portion is over, and since the game is generous enough that it keeps your save files separate, I think I feel confident enough that I can try a regular campaign. So let's get started with it. Let's go with standard wasteland mode.
Ah, yes, a Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his comitatus, eh? And you are a Vagrus too, are you not? Many of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes.
Okay, so this is the part where the game offers you to start the tutorial. This Pilgrims of the Wasteland story, where this old guy is the narrator. But I have already that one going, so let's skip it this time. We don't want any ghost stories or timer.
Fair enough, good master, fair enough. You don't want to hear tales of trusts betrayed and of bad decisions? It makes sense to me, with you also being a Vagrus and all that. Tell me, have you been long at it? And where do you come from? It is not often that I can talk to one of your kind.
And we are going to create our very own Vagrus now. Let's see. Select race. 4 kinds of human: dwarf, half-elf, orc, dark elf, demonkin. Oh, it's been a long time since I've seen any of these. No idea what they do. Let's see. Imperials are an industrious and generally cultured people, tracing their origins back to the ancient humans of Daromar, who migrated south and settled in the land of Etruas. Oh, and by the way, you might have realized it by now, but this game has a lot of reading, so please bear with me. I am going to read all of it. The Empire managed to survive the calamity, albeit at great cost, and remains one of the greatest powers on the continent of Zerin. At its peak, few if any realms could match its prosperity, knowledge and power, though this came at the cost of slavery and the oppression of other nations. Imperials in the Fourth Age are usually proud of such a past, though it is sometimes fused with a sense of bitterness. Business and progress are also close to the Imperial spirit, and the heritage of building a great society still lingers in the post-calamity era. Imperials are light of skin and often dark of hair, though people of Daromarian heritage tend to be tall and fair-haired. So Imperials are the most numerous humans around here. They have extra religion, savvy, and extra faction reputation. Okay, let's see about the Tarkians. You can see the face up here. We can also manually look at them. We'll do that a bit later. A land of vast deserts, arid mountains and tranquil oases, Tark has long been a problematic yet prosperous province of the Empire. Its people, the Tarkians, are a divided lot. City dwellers typically support imperial rule, having adapted to a profitable symbiosis, while most desert tribes detest what they see as an occupation force. Tarkian culture is exotic to imperial eyes, and its many unique products have permeated the Empire throughout the centuries. But this is not true the other way around. Originating from desert nomads, Tarkians are great at navigating and surviving arid wastelands, and are all said to be merchants at heart. Sometimes this means they have a suspicious or unsavory reputation elsewhere. Tarkians have dusky skin and dark hair. And they start with +1 persuasion, +1 savvy, and Tarkian awnings. Oh, that's a pretty nice consumption boon. Interesting. Slightly better than the regular awnings. Let's see. Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal, the land of endless rain, occupies the northeastern peninsula of the continent of Zerin, cut off from most other regions by vast mountain ranges and dense jungles. Its people, the Taj Mahals, are the descendants of ancient Zenrak, having lived mostly in fractured tribal communities since that old empire's fall. Taj Mahal was miraculously spared from the calamity, yet magical anomalies and mutants did enter its boundaries afterwards. Several centuries ago, a clan of Taj Mahal sorceresses rose to rule the land from 3 city-states on the coast. The Empire has made several attempts to colonize Taj Mahal, but it has proved impossible as of yet. Taj Mahals are often athletic and possess incredible stamina, but are considered savages by others. Taj Mahals are dark-skinned and dark-haired. Okay, they have +1 to survival, +1 to tough, and you start with a jade figurine. That sells for a pretty nice price, at least it did in the prologue. I like these ones the most so far. Let's see, what about the Kalani? The Kalani people of the East originate from coastal clans who survived the fall of Kimura. Their progressive and wealthy realm joined the Empire in the Golden Age and contributed considerably to the rise of imperial society and culture. The calamity struck and vastly changed the face of the eastern regions, erasing Kalani cities, burning the wonderful forests into formations of glass and crystal. The people survived as 3 separate clans and rejoined the Empire when it re-emerged. Crystal is everywhere in Sargot Kala, the richest and most important of the 3 regions. So crystal harvesting, crystal growing, and crystalmancy has become the major occupation in the region. Kalani are considered good mediators and a stoic, strong-willed people. Kalani are usually dark-haired and fair-skinned, with blue or green eyes. Okay, so they are the mystics of the land, I see. Start with arcane lore, strong-minded. 1 small energy crystal. Also found this in the prologue. It's a pretty useful item. And a crystal lamp. Looks like a general commodity. Okay, how about dwarves? Yep, they're dwarves, alright. The mighty dwarven kingdom of Dventartar was the greatest ally of the Empire before the calamity, and gifted humans most secrets of metal and stone. Dwarven technology was a true marvel, and the line of inventor kings governed the kingdom into a golden age of progress. When the calamity struck, most of Dventartar was cursed and destroyed in a conflagration of fire and lava, as the great mountains that they were built upon and into erupted. The several thousand survivors of the cataclysm became a wandering people, at the same time coveting and hating the technology that they think led to their downfall. Their former merry and progressive nature turned into bitterness, pragmatism, and cynicism. For all intents and purposes, dwarves are a dying race. Stocky and sturdy, dwarves are a hardy folk. Men almost always grow beards. Okay, you start with evaluate, tough, and a dwarven gadget. Well, these wolves are not really special. I suppose it makes sense from the lore. Let's see, we got half-elves here, but no regular elves, only dark elves. What's up with that? Not all Dorantella's elves took their own lives after the calamity. Oh, I see, that's why there are no elves here. Okay. Or became embittered to the point of insanity. Oof. Some of them wandered out into the world and lived out their remaining years among the mortals who survived. These elves mingled with humans, and their progeny are known as the Pereldin, the half-elves. Most of them retained the pointed ears, magnificent sight, and light-footedness of their elven parent, as well as the adaptability of their human one. They do not have a culture or realm of their own, and typically live their lives on the road or among other folk. Most Gwaet elves consider them abominations, and most humans think of them as elves, treacherous and furtive, so they do not trust them. Half-elves are tall and lean, with a mostly elvish appearance, yet also some human traits. Let's see, you start with dexterous, perceptive, negative reputation, and the luck talisman. Well, this seems to be a combat item, and I don't think I want to do much combat, so no thank you. What about orcs? Having been summoned as roaming souls from the outer realms and given bodies in a ritual of unmatched sorcerous power, orcs were created as the perfect warriors without memories. Weapons of the Empire in their war on the northern continent about 350 years before present day. However, the orcs soon found out about the deceit of their masters and rebelled against them. Following a brutal war that nearly collapsed the Empire and made orcs nigh extinct, the tenuous status quo was reached in the end, and the surviving orcs relocated to the swamplands of Dark Moor at the edge of the Empire. Living in tribal societies there ever since, orcs have become a thorn in the side of everyone, raiding, marauding, and engaging in piracy ceaselessly. Their spirit faith is propagated by shamans and meshes surprisingly well with orcish warrior culture. Many orcs find work as mercenaries, bodyguards, and gladiators throughout the Empire, though fear and suspicion surrounds them. Orcs are muscular, athletic, sturdy, and possess amazing stamina. They are human-sized with black hair and skin that ranges in color from green to brownish. They start with mighty, tough, and an orcish terror totem, which further grants terrifying and intimidation. I see. So this is also more of an option for a fighting Vagrus. What about dark elves? According to legend, the race today called Moreldin were once elves, but their ancestors were cast out and exiled after massacring their own kind during a series of tragic events. Shunned and stripped of their immortality, this progenitor clan sought refuge underground and found solace in the perpetual darkness and the embrace of demonic worship. So they're pretty much vampires, minus the blood drinking. Interesting twist. They hate light and the sun that burned their eyes and revealed them for what they truly were. In the next several thousand years, they conquered the deep places, built their underground great cities, and became a power to be reckoned with. After the calamity, many of them relocated below Zerrin from their northern realms, as it seemed to be both a new frontier and a place that became more hospitable to their needs. Loosely allied with the Empire, many dark elves are known to worship demons, among whom Balurkal is chief. Dark elves look like elves, but are shorter, with dark grey skin and pale blue eyes. Their hair is white, grey or silver. Okay, they start with dexterous, perceptive, 1 potent poison. It's also a combat item. And torture devices, which gives intimidation. Okay, so functionally, standard fantasy dark elf stuff. Okay, what about demonkin? This looks a little bit like a genie, actually. Demonkin is a general name for the many beings that have demonic blood in their veins, but it is more specifically used for those who have demonic ancestry in their grandparents or farther back. The heritage manifests as an aura of uneasiness that surrounds the demonkin, as well as in physical and sometimes sorcerous traits borne by the person. Each type of demon produces a set of traits in its demonkin, typical to its own form and abilities. Demonkin came to be fairly common on the continent after the Calamity, as the cataclysm broke the barriers between the Outer Realms and Zerrin, allowing denizens of the Abyss to enter and thrive in the Riven Realms, and to mingle with its mortal inhabitants. Demonkin do not have a culture or realm of their own, but live among other races, most frequently humans. Demonkin look fairly human, but retain some physical aspects of their Outer Realms ancestors, most commonly horns, fangs, claws, as well as unusual skin and eye color. So, tieflings essentially. Start with intimidation, Outer Realms lore, and perceptive. Okay, I usually pick dwarf whenever it's presented as an option, but these dwarves are a little underwhelming. If anything, they're kinda like the surface dwarves in Dragon Age Origins. Not really influential in any way. Mostly just tolerated. I think I'm going to mix it up a little bit, actually. Go with the dark elf here. Dexterous and perceptive. Well, dexterous is mostly a combat-oriented perk, but having a free point isn't gonna hurt. Probably gonna sell the potion for some quick cash. Torture device. Well, we're gonna see how intimidation works, because I don't know. Select background. Your background provides additional advantages and perks. Let's see, we can be veteran. You used to serve in a military force fighting for a cause or for coin. Gain a free fighter. 1 boost. That is an ability we're able to use in combat. And 1 tough. Okay, adventurer. You used to travel a lot and sought adventure everywhere. +1 survival. 1 free resourcefulness. Aristocrat. You were born into nobility and still retain some of its advantages. Start with authority. That's the number of deputies. Extra House Venari reputation. I don't remember anything about any of the factions in this game. It's been a couple years since I last tried my hand at this. And +15 bros. This is one of the currency. see. Artisan. You used to craft goods and sell them for a living. Gain 1 engineering. Reputation with Carpenter's Guild. And some good quality tools. For a little bit extra workforce. Okay, we can be a criminal. Your past involved criminal activities and you still have connections to the Loader's Guild. +1 to Con. 85. Loader's Guild reputation. Wow, that's a marked difference between regular guilds and criminal guilds. From this I'm guessing that it's a lot harder to increase this kind of reputation. So that's why the game front loads you with this much when you start. Interesting. The same, but with the Carpenter's Guild. No idea what any of these do. Let's see. One of the large criminal organizations of the Imperial Underworld, the Guild grew out of the unionization of hoarders and loaders. I kinda guessed it from the name. Today, it is a shadowy gang that runs crime in big cities, especially smuggling, racketeering and prostitution. They are considered lowly thugs by most. Okay, and the Carpenter's Guild. Carpenter's Guild is one of the most powerful criminal syndicates of the Empire, growing rich on all kinds of illegal activities. They trace their history to craftsman unions in a long-lost age when people knew what a carpenter truly was. Members like to think of themselves as highbrow entrepreneurs. Okay. It's interesting. You know, it's technically a post-apocalyptic world and stuff. Like names survive, but the meaning doesn't. Kinda reminds me of the kings. You know, in Fallout, those Elvis impersonators who have no idea who Elvis is. Kinda getting the same vibe here. Anyway, moving on. Entertainer. You used to make a living entertaining people. +1 charismatic, +1 encourage. Encourage. Use resourcefulness to raise crew morale. That could potentially be really useful. But you kinda have to do stuff wrong to let your morale drop in the first place, so. Okay, we can be an Imperial priest. You used to study and practice Imperial religious dogma. +1 encourage, religion. The whole lot of reputation with the Church of Ashkul and the Church of Surgorod. Yeah, not gonna pick this one. If you watched my playthrough of the prologue story, we have to deal with these church guys and they are anything but nice, so yeah, not gonna want to be one of them. Ranger, you learned how to live and survive in the wastelands of the continent. +1 beast lore, +1 hunting, +1 survival, and a pristine trophy. Okay, I feel like this one solves a bit of the early game supply problems with the extra hunting, but still not enough at low levels, I think. Professional slave catcher and slave trader. How's Darius' reputation? Okay, so these are the slavers. I'm not sure how I feel about slavery in this game, actually. For the time being, I don't think I'm gonna touch that too deeply. Sorcerer's Apprentice. He used to study sorcery briefly and still retain some knowledge of it. Some arcane lore. Empower, that's a combat perk. Magic sense. Oh, and we have some that are actually race logged. Interesting. Now, which one do I want to be? I feel like if you want to follow the lore, then maybe aristocrat would be okay here. You know what? Let's go with artisan here. A little bit of starting reputation wouldn't be too bad, I think. And I can always choose not to engage too much with the criminal guilds anyway. And a little extra workforce means that I don't actually need to keep as many slaves and workers, so that also translates into lower upkeep costs for the comitatus. I'm liking the sound of that. Select your calling. Your calling determines additional starting perks, possessions and crew. This is basically the kind of end game that you want to pursue. Not many of these caravan type of games actually do that. I actually like this. Even if it's an open world game, giving you a certain direction is always welcome. At least for me anyway. We can be trader. You're a traveling merchant, a nomadic trader interested in transporting goods, news and people to the faraway reaches of the Empire for profit. Okay, gives a whole bunch of reputation. Extra storage. Some beast lures. Traverse. Use resourcefulness to turn march points into movement points. That's pretty nice. And evaluate. Okay. I think you're supposed to start with trader, at least until you feel confident in your knowledge of the game. Mercenary. You're a captain of a mercenary company that seeks to work dangerous jobs, hunt bounties, or even raid camps and settlements out in the wasteland. This calling is geared towards armed conflicts and starts with a larger fighting crew, which results in higher upkeep. Therefore, we only recommend choosing mercenary for more experienced players. Yeah, there's that, and there's also the fact that healing your companions from these combats usually take forever. And there is permadeath, I think. So this is a very dangerous calling. I should probably keep this for last, if I ever decide to do multiple playthroughs. Finally, we have Explorer here. You are a seeker of knowledge and new places, someone who delves into ancient ruins, dangerous locations to find treasures, artifacts, and all secrets. This calling is geared towards surviving in the wilderness and starts with a larger specialized crew, which results in higher upkeep. Therefore, we only recommend choosing Explorer for more experienced players. Basically, once you already play enough, that you know the approximate size of the map and the location of places, so you're not moving blindly, So, since the game suggests it, let's go with trading. I think, pretty sure I chose this one the previous time I tried this game. And this end game is about amassing a whole lot of money and then retiring. But don't quote me on that. I might remember it wrong or maybe confuse it. It's pretty much the same in Sunless Skies, so maybe there's a bit of overlap in memory. Oh, no, wait. Oh, I see. I had it wrong. So, the calling was the play style. This is what I was talking about, the ambition, how you want to win the game. Okay, I stand corrected. Your goal is to amass a great amount of wealth, so that you don't have to worry about the future ever again. Choose this ambition if you want to focus on trading, resource management, and the economy aspects of the game without having to get into quests and stories. Well, this is good for understanding some of the game. But first and foremost, this is a narrative-driven game, so you might lose out a little bit if you choose this. We can go for renown. Your goal is to become well known and respected in society, one of the most famous Vagri ever to travel the far reaches of the Empire. Choose this ambition if you want to focus more on completing difficult quests and working towards unlocking a higher standing for a number of factions. Continuously securing funds to be able to do these is still required. Naturally, there is also free play. No victory condition, you can play freely for as long as you desire. You can only win the game if you change your ambition later through options in a story. That's kinda the default mode that they have in Sunless Sea. You just sort of stumble upon a end game option and you can decide to pursue that. Finally, we have knowledge. Your goal is to learn everything there is to learn about the continent and its inhabitants, as well as to find a way to preserve it for posterity. Choose this ambition if you want to focus on hunting for obscure codex entries, as well as delving into dangerous locations. Continuously securing funds to be able to do these is still required. Okay, I'm kinda torn between wealth and renown here. I really don't know. What would be best in regards to this playthrough? Wealth or renown? Well, technically this only says you don't have to get into quests, but you still can do them. I honestly can't decide. You know what? I'm going to go with wealth. And if you would rather make me go with renown, tell me in the comments and I will recreate my character with this in mind. Okay, here we choose our perks. Got 10, starting in sight. 3 resourcefulness. one authority. Okay, we start with traverse, because we're a trader. And evaluate. Also engineering, because the background. Dexterous and perceptive for the race. Okay, as you can see, there's a whole lot of options to choose from. Okay, aid might be a very good option, especially early on, while everyone is a little weak. If we ever get into a fight. Let's see, dexterous, measure of the characters, dexterity and agility, used in events, in companion progression, no direct effect on combat. Well, naturally, we are the Vagrus. We will never directly go into combat. Same with mighty and tough. Okay, engineering only goes up to 2, so this would be a safe bet. Then I don't have to worry about it. Well, I do have that torture device that increases intimidation but requires 1 point, so 1 point into this. Yeah, I'm just gonna grab aid at the start. Anything could happen. And maybe 1 point into perceptive. And only have 1 point remaining. That's good enough for a start in any of these. Alchemy gives base chance to heal. It's not much, but it's honest work. Let's see what would make the most sense for my character role-playing wise. Well, navigation never hurt nobody. Gonna go with that. Okay. Let's just generate a name for ourselves. Randar. I like the sound of that. Alright, Randar. Onwards to adventure.
Curious, curious. I am humbled to have made your acquaintance, good master. I'm sure that many great adventures await you on your journeys. It was an honor talking to you, good master, but these old bones are aching, and I must rest now. Oh, yes. Perhaps we will talk in the morning. Perhaps we will. May the gods guard your sleep.
Sleep, slowly but steadily, begins to overwhelm you. Is it the late hour, the exhausting journey, or the mesmerizing voice of the old man? You faintly recall stumbling to your tent and crawling inside. Then it is only darkness. And we start with the game proper. Morning creeps up quietly on the arid wasteland. You wake up and step out of your tent and into the crisp air, yawning, stretching, and blinking in the orange light of the rising sun. The fiery orb's warm rays are welcome, in stark contrast to how we all will feel in a few hours. Your crew, groggy still after an early start, shambles around camp, busy with their chores. Some of them are still huddled around their dying fires. You look at the horizon to the north and find it empty against the morning haze. Yet, you know that beyond that jagged line, the way station of Kernak awaits. A short stop on your way to a proper city, less than a week of trudging through the plains, and you reach Torzak's shelter. You hope to rest there and find much-needed work. In fact, this was the reason you took the Comitatus north, to Terra Supra, the lands beyond. New opportunities. The previous Vagrus of this traveling company perished several weeks ago, and even though you worked for her only for a few months, and are indeed quite new to this wandering business, the crew elected you to take her place because she trusted your abilities. Morning, Vagrus, one of your guards, walks up to you and draws you out of your reverie. That old geezer you talked to last night is about to leave and wanted to say goodbye before he does. You nod and head to the campfires. You find the old storyteller in the process of packing his meager equipment while whistling a tune. Talk to the old man. You clear your throat discreetly. Thank you for coming, good master, the old man says, still fiddling with his sling bag. I will not go to Torzak's shelter with you. My path leads elsewhere. I am grateful to you for letting me travel with your comitatus, yes, and I hope I've earned my keep. Because he had no coin nor anything of value when you came across him in the middle of nowhere 3 days ago, you allowed the old man to travel with you and eat from your stores, in exchange for entertaining your crew with stories along the way. And true enough, no hour has passed since, without a tale being recited by the strange fellow. He even made an effort to entertain you while sitting at your campfire last night. Be that as it may, you allowed him to tag along as an act of kindness. The old man turns to you and smiles innocently. I may be able to repay you more properly by giving some advice, If you don't mind me saying, good master, you are only starting your venture as a Vagrus, and perhaps you could use such wisdom. Let's listen to his advice. Alright, first off, there are a lot of rumors going around in a city as great as Grim Torzag, but even in smaller settlements too. Listen to these, for there's often truth to such talk, and gossips can guide you to business opportunities, valuables, or interesting places. Often, fresh news is the most valuable commodity you can possess, especially until you have a sizable cargo hold to hold large amounts of goods across the wasteland. If I were you, I'd find some work as soon as possible, preferably something your crew can manage without much difficulty. Perhaps from one of them trading houses. You could also find some passengers who are willing to pay for the security your comitatus can provide, yes? Almost every Mancio has folk looking for traveling companions. The old man scratches his scraggly beard thoughtfully. Before setting out, it is best to decide what your destination will be and prepare accordingly. Wandering around aimlessly in the wasteland is a sure way to get killed or to starve, good master. Yet, one's chances are better when the burden can be shared with trusty companions. I start looking for such folk as soon as I'm in the big city. There is a man I know in Torzag, now that I think about it, who could help you with such matters and more. You tell him you are listening. The chap is called Braxius. Strange fellow really, not only because of his peculiar lineage. You'll see. He runs a shop, yes. He'll buy any trinket off of you that you do not need any longer. He may sell you something useful too, who knows. I'm just remembering now, he once sold the Gavranian wood talisman to an orc mercenary who... The old man stops abruptly when he notices the expression on your face. He smiles apologetically. Where was I, good master? Ask him where you can find this man called Braxius. Oh, aye, Braxius' shop, just east of the Karish market, in a small street that has a dark stone statue of Mercatus over a fountain. Best of luck. Irafons be with you, good master. I'd better go now. You thank him and wish him well, then take your leave. You watch the old man as he walks away alone into the wasteland. It is time to set out. Torzak's shelter is waiting. But before that, it would behoove you to visit Kurnak Way Station, only about a day's travel to the north. You could obtain much needed supplies and news there. Maybe even find work, who knows. You set out across the wasteland. Okay, so now we're starting in the middle of nowhere. As you can see, this map is huge. We're probably not even going to visit all of it, but we will see. The prologue is centered around this place, so we are quite a way away. So, Kurnak Way Station is our first stop. Let's take a quick look. And we start with mammals for our beast of burden and our mounts. Interesting. In the prologue you start with lizards. I'm not quite sure what the difference is between all of them. What are we carrying? Almost 2 full stacks of supplies and some luxury wine. We have our good quality tools here, some extra storage. This alone doesn't give you much, since every 20 cargo you can carry gives you 1 space in your hold to actually carry it. But it's going to add up. Currently have no companions. Naturally, no deputies. Okay, we currently have more than twice the workforce that we need. Okay, so I can even get away with releasing some of my slaves if the need ever arises. 52 consumption. That's pretty good. Okay, Kurnak Way Station. Let's see. Yep, we can just gather supplies on the way. As long as you have movement points. You don't really lose anything by doing it. And I'm still gonna have enough movement points to get to the way station, so first luck of the game. Let's see. Fail, naturally. Only 3 supplies, but no one was harmed. You know what? I'll take that. The Comitatus descends into the great basin that shelters Kurnak Way Station from the worst of the jagged wastes, dust and rock storms. Even at this distance from the walled compound, you can see that the outpost is vastly overcrowded. Dozens of comitati and literally hundreds of travelers swarm the confines of Kurnak Station, which is now surrounded by makeshift camps and improvised mancios. What is going on here? Some sort of congestion at the gates, maybe? You arrive at the gate. A pair of gruff-looking mercenaries walk out to meet you and give you half-hearted hail. The first one to speak is a tall, lean-tainted fellow armed with a barbed spear. Gotta say, you folk just keep popping up like wraiths around the rotting corpse, he sighs heavily. Alright, move your arse over there and try to settle in without a fuss. He points to a large area outside of the low stone walls, just northwest of the way station itself. Let's comply quietly. You nod to the mercenaries and lead the comitatus to the designated spot. The crew strikes camp, and everyone is settled in after a quarter of an hour. Time to explore. And I think it's also time to stop the episode right here. You will never be able to tell from my voice, but I am really excited to finally play this game for real. Thanks for watching so far. I know the character creation dragged this out a bit. It's how I always do my character creations. But if you liked this video regardless, then please give the video a like. And I hope to see you again in the next one. Until then, have a good day, Vagrus.